Hello, everyone. Welcome to Carleton's Future Ravens Parent Evening. My name is Stanley Philippe. I'm a recruitment officer and page liaison at Carleton University. I got to start by pointing out the obvious. Yes, I am dressed up. It is my first time wearing formal attire since the beginning of the pandemic. And I got to tell you, the reason why some of us are dressed up tonight is because we are celebrating. We're celebrating your future Raven for putting in so much work. You know, this year has been a year like no other for many of us, and yet your child has done the work, virtual work in many cases, to put themselves in a position to really consider university in the fall of 2021. So we want to celebrate that achievement. And we also want to celebrate the parents and guardians for becoming members of the teachers union. I'm kidding, of course, but you know, this has been a really challenging year for you as well. And you've been there every step of the way to help set up Zoom class meetings and help with assignments at home. And so we just want to really take that moment to say thank you so much for being so awesome, for being a big part of your child's life, and for being here tonight with us. So tonight is all about you, your questions, and your connection to Carleton University. And we're going to start our session tonight with the always informative Jen Sugar, Director of Admissions Services, who will not only update you on the admissions timeline, but also offer you some words of advice to help students connect with their future program of choice. We'll then provide you with a refresher or a reminder of how to accept that offer of admission and that offer of residence. You know, sometimes when we get these amazing things virtually, we forget to read the fine print. And so we want to make sure that your son or daughter, your child is really able to accept that offer of admission and to understand what is included in that offer package. We'll then chat with two students, because who are we without our students? And Alex and Donatella are two phenomenal students that will be able to talk a bit more about their experiences navigating the post-secondary landscape and what it's like to be a student at Carleton U. And then we're going to finish things off with your questions. And here's the really important part. We really want you to ask those questions. So do us a favor, utilize that live event Q&A. And what we're going to do is try to answer some of those questions live at the end of tonight's session. You might also see some responses coming in and out during the session as well. So please keep those questions rolling throughout tonight's event. All right, now to officially begin our event, we want to acknowledge our location. So Carleton University acknowledges the location of its campus on the traditional unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation. And in the same celebratory tone, it's an amazing feeling to know that we are doing that work, that we are really thinking about how we can connect to our history, our present, and our future. You know, things like Kinamagwin, which is our Indigenous reconciliation strategy, really does showcase that work, that intention. You know, the word Kinamagwin literally means learning together. And if you take a look at the strategy, there are 41 calls to action that will ensure that we're doing just that. So we're really happy that we've been able to, again, continue to do that work and continue to make our campus as welcoming as possible for all of our students, our staff, our faculty, and our community members. So we really want to start with that positive celebratory tone. And let's keep those good feelings going for our first official speaker of tonight, the one and only Jen Sugar, Director of Admission Services.
Thanks, Den, and hi, everybody. It's so great to also be wearing real clothes and to be dressed up. Sten and I decided to really celebrate for tonight's event, and so hopefully everyone out there appreciates the dueling bow ties that we have going on. So what I want to do tonight is I want to talk to you a little bit about the offer process and where we're at right now. And then also, as Sten said, offer a few words of advice about how someone does this. How does someone actually choose a university and pick a major and decide where to go and all of these types of things? Offer you some thoughts on that. So in terms of where we're at right now, so for those of you who don't know, Carleton University does what we call rolling offers of admission, which means that every time we get grades, and so, you know, I know that there are people probably attending from Ontario here tonight and from outside of Ontario. So what that means is every time we get grades, whether it's from the Ontario University Application Centre for our Ontario high school students, or from schools and guidance counselors for our students who are applying from around Canada and around the world, basically every time we get grades, we take a look at the student's application again, we calculate an admission average, we look for the prerequisites that we need for each of our individual programs, and then as soon as we can make an offer of admission, we do. And so that's kind of what we've been doing over the last little while. Near the end of April, we received grades again from the Ontario University Application Centre for our Ontario high school students. And these would have been grades for the third quadmester for most students who are in the quadmester model right now. And we'll be waiting for grades from the fourth quadmester to come near the end of June, sort of beginning of July. And so we're making offers of admission right now for students who are not eligible for their first choice programs. We're making alternative offers of admission. So it could be that some students have received offers to programs that are maybe their second or third choices, or maybe an alternative program that we've offered them. And so those offers of admission are going out right now. And those offers of admission, all of our offers of admission up until the end of this week, will be going out with guaranteed offers of residence. And I know that we'll talk about residence a little bit later in tonight's event. So I'll just leave that, I'll leave that out. But one thing I do want to include is that for all of our high school students, one thing that we are doing this year because of the unusual circumstances of the pandemic is we'll be reassessing all of our students' scholarship averages using their final grades. And so whenever Carleton reassesses a student's scholarship average, students' scholarship averages can only go up. We only assess upward. And normally in any given time of year, we would stop assessing for scholarship calculation around now. It would be the last time that we looked at students' grades, and we wouldn't do that again on their final GPA, their final average. But this year, what we want to do is, because of the disrupted nature of the year, we wanted to make sure that students are getting the maximum amount of advantage possible in regard to calculating their scholarship average. So we will be revisiting those on final. So that's just something to know as we move forward. So, you know, a lot of our students, a lot of our applicants are holding offers right now. And they're holding offers from our university, and they're holding offers from other universities. And they're looking around and they're thinking, you know, what should I pick? Where should I go? What should I major in? And so oftentimes they turn to people in their lives and they say, you know, what should I do? And I have to say, you know, I've been doing this work since 1996. It's been a while. And almost all the time, whenever students ask folks outside, maybe people in their family and so on, for advice, they get the wrong advice. And so I want to give you what I think is better advice, because a lot of times what happens is when students ask the question, like, you know, what should I major in? What should I do? There's always somebody in their family or in their sphere of influence who says, you got to do the thing that's going to make you the most money. And you got to do the thing that's the most secure. Like, don't do anything that's risky or weird or anything like that. And so sometimes we run into students who choose the wrong programs because they're not the right programs for them, because they think that there's only a handful of programs that they're really allowed to pick because those are the only things that are going to be secure in the future. And we've seen that even more now because of the pandemic. Because of the pandemic, parents are nervous, students are nervous, everyone's nervous, and people want to make sure that they're making the right decision and that they're picking the program that's going to give them the maximum chance of success when they graduate. And I totally get that. That makes sense. And I think a lot of people think about this as, for those of you who are hockey fans, you know that Wayne Gretzky is famous for saying, the reason why he was so successful is that he learned how to skate to where the puck was going to be rather than to where the puck is. And so what people try to think about is they try to think about, well, where's the puck going to be in the future? What's the future going to be? And I'm going to go to school for that. And I'm here to tell you that it's almost impossible to know that. It is very difficult to predict exactly where the world is going to be in 4 years. And if you want proof of that, cast your mind back about 16 months ago and imagine if you would have thought that we would have been in a global pandemic right now and if we'd be doing this type of learning online. The answer is probably no. And so it's very difficult to predict what industries are going to be hot or what's going to be important in 4 years and all of those types of things. It would be like picking one stock to invest in the stock market and getting in on it and then just hoping that you were right. And so what do you do? If that's the world, if the world is unpredictable, if the world is unknown, then what do students do? What they do is they come to university, they come to Carleton, and they major in what they love. And that's our advice. That's what we say to students is pick something that you love. Pick something that you're interested in, because when you come to university, we're not teaching you how to do a thing. We're teaching you how to think. We're teaching you transferable skills. We're teaching you high-level reading skills, writing skills, presentation skills. We're teaching you how to work on your own, how to work in groups. Most importantly, we're teaching you how to deal with vast quantities of information. We're teaching you critical thinking skills. And you're going to get all that no matter what you major in at university. So if you love film studies, do that. If you love engineering, do that. If you think biology is the coolest thing, go for it. But make sure you pick what you love, because all of this, all of those skills, those are hard. It's hard to pick those up. It's a lot of work. And when you hear from the students that you're going to hear from in a moment, they'll confirm for you that university is a lot of work. And so you need to be there. You need to be engaged to get 100% of those skills. And then what will happen is in 4 years, when you graduate, you'll be graduating into a job market. None of us know what that job market will look like, but you are going to have all of these amazing skills. And so you will be able to say to an employer, you will be able to say, I have these skills and this is what I can offer you. And these are my critical thinking skills. And these are all of the things I have to give to you in this industry. And so basically what we're doing is we're future proofing you. We're making it so that you are employable. We're making it so that you are valuable in whatever happens to be the world that we find 4 years from now after you graduate. So I'm just going to close briefly by saying, I think we're emerging from quite a dark time here as we sort of slowly start to come out of the pandemic, but the pandemic isn't going to last forever. And as we move toward the future, we are going to need hope and optimism and creativity and intelligence to help us navigate our way through the challenging times that are to come. And that's exactly what our grads are doing. When we extend an offer of admission, what we're inviting you to do is we're inviting you to be a part of that, to be a part of something bigger and join the ranks of one of the many, many Carleton grads who are translating what they learned in here to be a force for good out in the world. So as you think about what you want to do and where you want to go, think about those things and know that when you come to Carleton, what you're going to find is a whole team full of people from faculty and staff and fellow students, everyone who want to support you on your journey as you go through that work and as you make your mark on Carleton and as you make your mark on the world. So thanks very much for coming tonight, and I hope you get all of the information that you need from the speakers that are to follow. Sten?
Jen, thank you so much. And maybe we can keep you on screen for a little bit longer because the questions are flowing in the Q&A. And there was a question that came up about the fall and what that's going to look like at Carleton.
Yeah.
So maybe you can give a bit of an update on what the plan is for now and what they can anticipate for the fall 2021.
Sure. So, and I say this knowing that public health guidelines change literally daily. So this is what we know right now. What we know right now is that our plan is for a slow and partial safe return for fall. Like, safety is the most important thing for us. And so what we're planning for is a bit of a hybrid situation in the fall. And so right now what we're doing is we've kind of programmed our class schedule so that all of our classes that are 60 students and fewer will be in person on our campus, and anything that is greater than 60 students will be online. And so we're trying right now to make sure that there is a good mix of both online and on-campus learning for students, and trying to set up all the infrastructure that would be required for students to have both of those things, to be able to, for example, come onto campus to attend a smaller class, but then stay on campus and have a place to log in to a class that was larger. And so that is some of the work that we're doing right now. But I guess the short way to put it is that we're looking toward a hybrid model for fall as we slowly start getting back to normal.
Now, thank you for that answer, Jen. Now the Q&A is really buzzing, which we're loving. And I should say that there are folks from our admissions team, recruitment team, the housing department that are all here answering questions in the Q&A. So please continue to ask your questions, and we'll get to a few of your questions as well live a little bit later on. So thank you so much, Jen, for that awesome, inspiring talk. Now, one of the things we've noticed as we were having conversations with students is sometimes students aren't necessarily aware of either where their offer of admission may be located, and also some of the elements. I remember I was talking to one student and they were asking about their scholarships, and I kind of said, okay, well, if you look at your offer of admission, you'll see it. And not only did they get an entrance scholarship, there was an additional faculty scholarship that was there too, and they were obviously super excited about that. So we want to make sure that that your future Raven is catching everything that's available in their offer of admission. And so we thought it'd be nice to kind of walk through what it's going to take to access that offer. So the first thing that students will be able to do is log into their Carleton 360 account. So 360.carleton.ca. And if you're not familiar, Carleton 360 is this beautiful one-stop shop for students who are starting their inquiry or their journey with us, or who have applied, have an offer of admission, and later will become students as well, to really learn more about what makes Carleton really unique. So we encourage students to go onto their Carleton 360 account. From there, they'll select the applications option on the left-hand side of their toolbar. And then there they'll select submitted applications on the drop-down menu. Once they do that, they'll see the view or accept their offer option. And by clicking on that, it will bring them to their offer of admission on Carleton Central, their offer package on Carleton Central. And that package will include some really key elements that you're going to see on the screen. So first off, you will see the offer of admission. So that is the offer that makes it official and that welcomes you to the Carleton community. So really great to see exactly what they got an offer to. Like I mentioned, scholarships and awards, that information will be indicated included in the offer package. And for students who are admitted with an 80% average or better, they will receive a guaranteed entrance scholarship valued between $4,000 and $16,000 over the course of 4 years. Okay, so that scholarship information will be available in their offer package. And for those students who maybe received an offer earlier in the application process and have seen an increase in their admission average, they may be notified by email that their scholarship has increased as well. So please encourage your child to keep an eye on their email for that potential update. You'll also see the offer of residence. So students who are admitted to Carleton going into their first year of post-secondary study will receive a guaranteed offer of residence. And so that might be included in their offer package as well. And we'll touch a bit more about the residence offer in a little bit. So those are the key elements that you'll find in that offer package. In terms of deadlines to respond to that offer, The key deadline for current Ontario high school students is June 1st. Now, that is the earliest date that any university in Ontario can require that students respond to their offer. And one of the reasons why we have that date in place is to give you a chance to do what you're doing tonight, is to really connect with us in this year virtually to understand again what the community is all about, what type of support is available for our future students, and really understand what it's going to be like once they join the Carleton community. So again, that June 1st deadline is in place for our current Ontario high school students. Generally speaking, you will have at least 3 weeks from the date of your offer to respond to the guaranteed portion of that offer of admission. So again, in that offer package, you'll see exactly when the offer was made, and you'll also see that information about when you need to respond to that guaranteed offer. So definitely keep an eye out for that. What you're going to want to do then is review your offer of admission. So again, make sure you see all the information that's there, as well as the conditions you'll need to maintain your offer. And those conditions are typically met utilizing your final grades. Okay, so students are still studying right now. Will be receiving what we call conditional offers. And again, that will be finalized. You're looking at a student's final grades. And then they'll get the chance to accept their offer of admission on UAC, on the Ontario University Application Centre's website. So the same place they went to apply will be the same place they'll go to accept their offer. And once they've done that final step, it's time to get dressed up and to celebrate, because you can really look forward to becoming a member of our community and take that deep breath and tell yourself, I did it. I am going to university. And so we obviously celebrate every time we see students accepting our offer of admission. So it's a really great moment for everyone involved. So that's what you're going to be looking for and looking to do, hopefully over the next couple of weeks, if your son or daughter hasn't done that already. Now, in terms of residence, the residence response date is June 8th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me say that again. June 8th, 2021, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this is a pretty set in stone deadline to respond to the offer of residence. Now, in order to do that, there are a couple of steps you need to follow first. So one is accept the offer of admission. So you accept your offer of admission first. Then you can go on to Carleton Central to accept your offer of residence. And we have a really great website, housing.carleton.ca. That website will give you some more kind of information as to what that process looks like for students who have the guaranteed first year offer of residence. And then once you've accepted your offer of residence, you'll then get a chance to pay your $700 deposit on Carleton Central. And once those three things have been done, so we accepted your offer of admission, your offer of residence, and you paid your deposit, you've now secured your spot in residence for year one. And I got to tell you, for me, coming from Toronto, residence was huge for my experience. I didn't know anyone in the city of Ottawa, didn't know anyone attending Carleton, and being part of the residence community, being on campus and connected to my floor mates, my residence fellow, really the supportive community that is there in res really helped a lot. And residence is just that. It's more than just a place to live. It truly is a place to grow, and a big part of that are the smiley faces that you see on screen. These are residence fellows that are really there to welcome you, to guide your future Raven as they again navigate not only post-secondary, but maybe living away from home for the very first time, like I experienced. And it was amazing to really have that support at my disposal. The residence community is made up of about 3,600 students, 11 awesome buildings. We have 2 different styles, our traditional rooms and our suite style rooms. We do guarantee students a traditional double room. Suite style and single rooms are available. That's information you can provide to us once you've accepted your offer of residence. We've got an amazing cafeteria, and I got to tell you, one of the things I truly miss about being on campus is being able to pop into the residence cafeteria and have a meal. It's really good, really great food, fresh food cooked right in front of you, a lot of variety as well. And some, again, really important, amazing resources. We had a residence session that took place earlier this week as part of our See You at Home series, where we talked a bit more about the different resources that are available. So if you missed that, you'll be able to check that out online on the replay, as we say in the virtual world. So definitely check that out. And of course, we have folks here to help answer the questions you may have about residents. Some cool amenities that you'll find in the residence spaces, including a brand new gym. So we have a great kind of workout facility in our athletic facilities. So the athletic part of our campus. But for students who are living in residence, we also have a brand new gym that's available for resident students only. That's one of many different examples of the facilities that are available. It really does create that sense of community when you're living on campus, and at the same time, the convenience of tapping into the rest of Carleton's campus community. So I really, again, encourage students who are considering living in residence to really follow those deadlines and to get that information in order to secure their spot. Okay, it's now time for us to have a conversation with some of our really bright students here at Carleton. And we're going to start with Alex, who is a student in our Global and International Studies program. So the next person you'll see on screen is Alex.
Hi, Sten.
All right, hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. And maybe you could tell us more about your decision to study Global and International Studies. When did you know that that program was going to be the right program for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I figured it out a little earlier than some people. I actually attended Carleton's open house when we used to be able to go to things in person in after grade 10, because I had been taking a course at my school regarding international issues, and then someone brought to my attention the Begins program, which was relatively new at the time. I think it only been had 1 year ahead of me where students had actually been entered into the program. So it was relatively new. So it got brought to my attention, and they said, you should attend their open house. It's happening this day. I think you'll really like it. That you get to talk with the profs, you get to talk with some of the students, you get to talk with the support for the program, like the program administrators, the people who help you register for your courses if you don't know how to do that, and those people. So I went and I just really fell in love with the program. I had toured a couple other schools, and Carleton just really stuck out to me because, like, it was one of the only open houses I'd been to where you got to talk to professors, but it also was just really well-rounded because I got to have a tour of the residence buildings, and I got to have a tour of the cafeteria, and I got to eat at the cafeteria. So it was really nice that way.
Now, you're super involved at Carleton. Did the program kind of informed or encourage your decision to get involved, or was it something that you just really wanted to do from day one?
A little bit of both. So for everyone who's going to be attending Carleton in the fall, we have an academic orientation day where the head of your program will talk to you about sort of what the program's going to be like, future job opportunities, and stuff they recommend that you potentially do, like what during your time at Carleton, whether it's get involved with the government while you're here or learn French or Spanish. And our program coordinator really recommended we get involved on campus, that we get involved in some of the NGO chapters that are located on campus, some of the political groups that are located on campus, because not only will it tell you what you like, but it'll also inform you of what you don't like, which is really important because they teach you the same thing and they're both equally as important because it can really help direct you. So I got involved in a couple different clubs on campus over my now 3 years here at Carleton, and I can honestly say that getting involved was one of the best things I did. Not only has it led to job opportunities for me now, but it's also led to me knowing where I want to go when my post-secondary career is sort of done and I move on to the next stage of my life, because I was involved in some NGO chapters located here on Carleton's campus, and I was involved with some of the like young liberals, young conservative groups here on campus as well. So it was really eye-opening for me. So I definitely recommend, if any student is watching, that they really consider getting involved on campus and attend our clubs fair, where you can actually sign up to get their emails and see their events and all of that.
Now, there was a question in the Q&A actually that there's a parent who was saying that their daughter is interested in the Bachelor of Global International Studies, and they want to know, does this area of study open up potential jobs, and if so, which ones? So maybe you can kind of give that insight and talk a bit about, you know, what you're forecasting in terms of employment, and also how your involvement has helped you really kind of dictate or understand that better.
Yeah, absolutely. The job prospects comment got brought up a lot to me when I first decided I wanted to go into global and international studies, mainly because it's a really new program. So most people were like, what is that? What does it involve? And I can honestly say that it's opened up a lot of job opportunities. Not only do I work on campus speaking about the program to future prospective students, but also I'm working as a research assistant for one of my professors at the moment. I was working for them all last winter and now all this summer as well, working on their work. But the summer prior to that, I actually got involved in the CUROP program, which is the Carleton University Research Opportunity. And it essentially allows a couple undergraduate students to submit under the Faculty of Public Affairs, which Global and International Studies is a part of, to submit a proposal to do their own research under faculty supervision. You have to get a faculty member to agree, but everyone in the Begins department was super willing to agree to help me out and supervise my project. They all thought it was really interesting. And that's actually how I got paid employment all last summer as well. And so by being in the Begins program and with like the amazing Begins faculty, it's really opened up a lot of doors for me in terms of not only now do I have a bunch of research experience under my belt, because that's so accessible here at Carleton, as well as some experience where I was working with another professor to help create content for a first-year course. Not only do I have all that experience and all those skills that are really marketable, but it also has helped shape what I want to do in terms of my future career. I'm hoping to attend graduate school after, because I'm really interested in academia personally. But I know tons of people, there's internship programs that you can take when you're part of Begins that also open up opportunities for you, and just like the amazing faculty that's so welcoming, as well as the Carleton community. It's set up so that no matter your program, there's going to be doors that are open for you to find employment.
The last thing I'm going to ask before we bring Donatella on screen is, we're celebrating tonight, so maybe you can share a memory, a moment, something that kind of stands out from your degree thus far that you want to share. I know we didn't kind of prepare this, but whatever comes to mind first would be really great.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I did paid research sort of thing for the university where I wrote my own academic paper, and I'm in the midst of trying to get that published now. But I think one of like the highlights for me is actually one of my first year TAs agreed to read over the paper and said that it was really high quality work and that they were really interested in it. And for me, that really sort of made the whole experience come a little full circle, because someone that was looking at my stuff in first year was now looking at my work now and seeing how much it improved and how much my time at Carleton has really not only enhanced like my writing and academic research abilities, but also that I have the contact of someone still and that I still talk to, and it's a connection that is really important to me to maintain.
Awesome. Well, Alex, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for growing with us. You know, it's been great to see your growth as a member of our recruitment student team and also a member of the Carleton community. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts this evening.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, and the next student you're going to hear from is Donatella. Donatella, how are you this evening?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. Now, Donatella, you're in our law program. What led you to that choice? What led you to kind of think about studying law at the undergraduate level?
Yeah, so for me, I always loved Ottawa as a city. It is quite far away from my hometown, about 6 hours away, but it was something I've always just loved the city. I love the fact that it's in the capital. And for me, I knew I wanted to pursue law school in the future. And very similar to what Jen was saying before about picking something that you love, I knew that I was extremely passionate about law from taking law in high school and being on the mock trial team in high school and meeting lawyers. And I just knew that was something of interest of mine. So after speaking to a few professors at different events within Carleton, I realized that a lot of my professors that I would be taught by were either practicing lawyers currently who worked at the university as well and taught and lectured, or they were people who have left the legal practice and have entered academia, or just socio-legal scholars. And that I really liked being able to have that well-rounded sort of way of teaching. I really appreciated that. It's a place to foster discussion, ask questions about my future and my career, and get different opinions from various different people. In addition to that, I really liked kind of the smaller program, the smaller class sizes compared to other universities I was looking at, just so it could help me kind of stand out and be able to feel more comfortable asking questions in the classroom, making connections with my TAs and within the department. And being someone who's interested in going to law school, I think being familiar with that legal jargon and different cases that I would be presented with and different ways of legal thinking, not only that they promote in law school, but also if I wanted to do a master's degree of legal studies. So it kind of helped me build those skills that I was interested in taking on into the future. In addition, the program also offers a co-op, and in my concentration, which is law, policy, and government, I wanted to be able to gain some valuable work experience within Carleton community, within the Ottawa community, or just be able to come back home and work as well. And so that was a benefit as well, to be able to work on a 4-month or 6-month or 12-month co-op and be able to apply what I've learned in the classroom outside into the real world.
You gave a lot of really great things there, and one of the things I picked up on was one is co-op and how that played into your decision, but also the nature of the program and how there are a lot of discussions that are happening, a lot of conversations, and I think that's a really great reflection of what happens in the nation's capital. So for someone who's been studying here for a couple of years now and have been able to study in a program that does foster those conversations and has that co-op option, what role has the city of Ottawa, being in the nation's capital, played in maybe elevating your post-secondary experience or adding some really great value to your degree?
I think for me, people, I was able to connect with people who've worked in whether it be municipal, federal, or provincial politics, and that was something I was always interested in. So these opportunities of being able to help them campaign or joining different clubs and societies, as Alex was talking about, within the political sphere. But also with that, I have able to pursue another interest of mine, which is languages. I have a minor in Italian, and with that opportunity, through studying that language, I was invited to the Italian Embassy for Italian Heritage Month, and being able to network with diplomats and use another passion of mine that kind of feeds into one another, where maybe some people don't picture that happening, but they do. And that's the really great thing about Carleton, is I was able to kind of pick a program and add minors to my degree that really reflected my uniqueness. It wasn't just law, but that I'm allowed to have other interests that kind of blend well together. So being involved in a cultural community that can also be involved in a politically active one, and that's one of the benefits of the nation's capital. I come from a smaller town where I just don't think that those opportunities would have been available to me or encouraged. So that was really great thing about coming to Ottawa and studying here, was that you meet so many different types of people with so many different backgrounds, and you're able to kind of build a space where you feel like you can really grow and thrive.
Now, when we were prepping for tonight's event, one of the things you mentioned was the PASS program and how you really wanted to talk about PASS. So first, tell us what PASS stands for, what it is, and what's your involvement in that program?
Yeah, I love talking about PASS. PASS is awesome. So PASS stands for Peer Assisted Study Sessions. So for certain mostly first year courses, the school recognizes that adjusting from, no matter where you're coming from as a mature student or from straight from high school, that kind of adjusting to university can be difficult. So for some of these courses, we offer a session led by a student like myself who has finished the course previously with A- or higher grade. And basically they set up weekly workshops and worksheets to help you as a student learn. So this can be through discussion-based learning, tactile learning. We have auditory and visual learning strategies that come into helping you review the lecture, review your reading notes, what's the best way to take notes and study, what's the best way for you to study independently, helping you use your own words and describing your own thoughts and opinions on those things, specifically for a course like law. So I love PASS because it allows students to be able to become independent learners and grow that confidence. And having a place where I felt adjusting to university was a little bit tricky for me, having an opportunity to be able to feel supported and don't feel like I'm just kind of swimming in the ocean all alone, but that there was somebody there, another student, or that it was encouraged by the professor and encouraged by the school that it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to seek out these resources, was really awesome for me. So you go to office hours, they're all optional, or you can go to a weekly workshop if you're unclear about something, and then you yourself as a student can apply to become a PASS facilitator and kind of continue that legacy for future students.
Yeah, and that's a really big part of what makes our community a community is that culture of assistance, of support, of exchange, and that legacy of then wanting to do the same for the next group of students, and that's something that we're really proud of, and we really love that students like yourself are taking the time to give back. Now, before we let you go, I'm curious to know, because you just mentioned some of the profs and the supportive nature. Maybe you could talk a bit about maybe a professor or two that have stood out so far, that really went the extra mile to support you in your studies and in your kind of growth here at Carleton.
Yeah, so I think two professors come to mind for me. One of them is one in my faculty who was offered to be my honors paper advisor. I actually met with her through class in the middle of the pandemic, and she was just so understanding and fostered so much knowledge in myself and encouragement in doing an honors paper. So I asked her if she could be my thesis advisor, because I am interested in going to grad school, and being able to make that connection and making online learning that much more for me. I felt like I had a connection, that she was a real person who cared a lot about her students and her work, like many other faculty members at Carleton. So that's just been somebody that stood out to me, especially in the middle of these very odd times. I wasn't expecting to learn online for a year, but it just made it all more enjoyable to have people who felt like we were working together as a team, someone there to help you and someone you can lean on to ask questions about and see potential in yourself when the going gets tough. And the other professor would be, in my first year, I had the opportunity to work on a research project with him. And even though I was from outside of his faculty, being able to say, oh, you come from a different interdisciplinary background, that I think that you'd be really good at working in a project similar to what Alex did. And that's that professor being able to see that maybe academia would be something for me to be interested in the future, or just something to explore from the get-go. It was really great to feel presented with an opportunity. Even though I was asking lots of questions, that professor got to know what I wanted, what I was looking for out of my future, and where I saw myself in 10 years. So I think this idea that university is just a number isn't true about Carleton. I've never felt that way. I've always felt extremely respected and encouraged to put myself out there and look for opportunities.
Well, we appreciate you putting yourself out there tonight and taking the opportunity to share your story and share your growth, and we're really excited to see what will happen next in your Carleton story. So Donatella, thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
No problem.
Now, earlier tonight, we encourage folks to ask questions in the live Q&A, and sometimes when we throw that out there, I think people might take it a bit lightly, but Not tonight. Tonight, you were all doing a great job of asking your questions, and we're doing our best to answer your questions in the Q&A. As I'm scrolling through, I see some trends are popping up. One of the bigger trends is that conversation around residents that we started a little bit earlier. And so what we're going to do now is bring one of my colleagues onto the screen, Emily, who has not only a good recruitment background, but also a background working in housing. And we're going to try to touch on some of the questions that we're seeing pop up more than once in the Q&A, and then maybe also talk a bit about some other things that you might want to know about residents. So please welcome Emily.
Hey, Stan, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for jumping on and for taking on some of these awesome questions that we're getting. So I think that the first thing I want us to revisit is that June 8th deadline. What that means in terms of what students are committing to if they are accepting their offer of residence by June 8th.
Yes, so like Sten mentioned, June 8th is the deadline for all students to accept their offer of residence. So your student will need to accept their offer of residence by this deadline, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When they accept their offer, they will be required to pay a $700 deposit. That deposit is non-refundable. However, if your student has already accepted their offer and paid the deposit, and then they decide that they don't want to come to residence, if they withdraw their offer of residence, then before June 8th, they will receive a full refund. If your student decides that they would like to withdraw from residence before July 15th, then they will receive a partial refund. So they'll receive $350 back. After July 15th, all residence deposits are non-refundable. But in order to guarantee that spot residence, students need to accept and pay their deposit by June 8th, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Now there was a question about residence fees. So maybe we can break down what those residence fees include, because sometimes parents are trying to make these decisions and they're trying to understand exactly what the layout is. So if you can give us a quick breakdown as to when whoever's paying for housing and when they make that payment in the summer, what does that include?
Yeah, so other than the $700 deposit, all residence fees are due at the same time as the tuition fees, which is August 25th, 2021. And the residence fees include the meal plan. So it's one big sum of money. And it's like tuition where you can pay for first semester on August 25th. And then later on in the year, I believe it's in November, that's when you would pay the residence fees for the second half of the year. So for the winter term. Like I said, all the residence fees are paid in one lump sum. So students who are living in a traditional room will automatically have the all access meal plan. So that's included in the residence fees. Students who are living in a suite style room, they do have the option to have a reduced meal plan if they want, but they also have access to the all access meal plan if that's something that they want. So all of those residence fees will be paid at the same time as the tuition fees, which are due at the end of August.
Now, there have been some questions about COVID and how COVID has impacted the residents' experience and in the housing situation at Carleton. So if you can, maybe talk a bit about what happened this past year in residence and what we know so far about the residents' experience starting in the fall of 2021.
Yeah. So that's obviously, I think, one of the biggest questions we've been getting throughout this whole year is, what is residence going to look like? So this year, all of our students who lived in residence, they lived in a room by themselves. So we didn't have any double rooms. All of our students were occupying a single room for their safety. Next year, we are planning to have some double rooms. So we would like some of our students to be sharing a room if it is safe to do so. We are following the advice put out by Ottawa Public Health. So it's going to depend what their recommendations are. If we can safely do so, then we will have some of our students occupying double rooms. However, if they let us know that that is not safe to do so, then our students will be living in single rooms. And we will be communicating this with students on our website, and they will be sent information to their Carleton email as well. And we'll have more information in the coming weeks and in the coming months as we get closer to the fall. Unfortunately, I know that's not the answer that people are looking for, but that's what we have at this time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point to note is that we will continue to inform students as soon as we do have more kind of information and as we've all experienced, these last few months have been a lot of changes that are happening rapid fire in real time, and we're going to do our very best to again keep everyone informed as soon as possible, understanding the different decisions that are coming up, and also understanding that making sure safety remains a priority for everyone involved. Emily, you were part of a really cool session that happened a couple of days ago. So maybe you can talk a bit about what that housing session was about, and if people missed out, when and where they can tune in to that session again.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So on Tuesday, I ran a session that was specifically for residents that was, targeted to answer all of those burning questions that students and parents have. So if you folks would like some more information on residents, you can visit our website, admissions.carleton.ca. And that video it's not been posted yet, but we anticipate that it will be posted by the end of this week. And you'll be able to get much more information about our plans for next year. I also had a student come on to that session. Her name was Van, and she talked a little bit about what is in store for students who are living in residence. So typically, in a normal year, we would have many different events and initiatives happening around residents to bring the community together. And each floor would have different floor events every single year, and students would have the opportunity to connect with each other. Obviously, we're not quite sure if we'll be able to do that next year. We anticipate that things will be better than they were this past year, but maybe not quite as back to normal as a typical year would look like. So our residence team is putting together different events and initiatives online to be able to bring students together. I know that they ran some different events. They had different Kahoots and trivia nights to bring students together and to get them introduced into the residence community. So our team is planning on having some similar events next year to hopefully make this residence experience as close to normal as possible.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. Emily, thank you for jumping on. And again, thank you everyone for asking those great questions about residents. Look out for that video that will be available by the end of the week. It'll be some good viewing for you if you want to watch on your deck or your patio or at a park. Safely, of course, but definitely look out for that residence or housing video. Now I want to bring Jen Sugar back on screen because there's another trend that we noticed, and I think Jen will be able to talk a bit about this. And so, Jen, the thing that we could have noticed that a lot of folks are asking about class sizes. What's the size of classes or the class sizes for this upcoming year? So maybe you can talk a bit about what that means, what that will look like, and what you were able to share in the Q&A.
Yeah, so I think what people are trying to get a handle on is just following from what I said, the less than 60, greater than 60 kind of thing. But what everyone needs to just sort of remember is the class sizes are independent of the number of students that we bring into a program. So I saw some of the questions that were going past here in the Q&A, how many people in health science, how many people in journalism, and, all of these types of things. So if you think about health science, for example, we may bring in 90 students into first year health science. And so there will be some first year courses that are restricted to those students. And there will be some first year courses that they need to take that are open to everyone, like first year biology or first year calculus, and those might be larger classes. You might have a program like journalism where we bring in, let's say, around 100 people, and the journalism students might take some very small classes that are specific to them, but then they will also for sure take other first year classes in our arts and social sciences that may be larger. And so really almost no matter what program a student is coming into this fall, there's a really good likelihood that they're going to have a mix of online and in-person offerings, especially when we start thinking about labs, that are naturally small, that those things would most likely be offered in person. We're still working out the details on a lot of these things. For the person who asked the question about the engineering, as you saw from my answer, we're still working out sort of the first year engineering classes and how we offer those and whether those will be in person or online or both. And so, in some cases, it's not just going to be an either or. Like there may be cases where we offer both online and in-person class sections for students. And also, we're also looking at, so for an example of a class that would normally have 100 students in it, could we break it into 2 groups of 50 and have both of those 2 groups attend in person? Is that an option for certain programs? So we're working hard with the class schedule, as you can imagine, organizing all of this and programming it all so that there are enough rooms and enough seats and enough people, and also, of course, maintaining social distance within every classroom and making sure that our cleaning protocols are up to snuff for all of those things. It is a bit of an undertaking, so we are still working out some of those details, but thanks for bringing me back on, Sten, because I just wanted to clarify that, the number of students that we bring into a program doesn't necessarily answer the question of will all my courses be online or will they be in person?
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Jen, and then it's a great also kind of segue into the registration conversation and that's a conversation that we're definitely going to be having with our future Ravens in the coming weeks. As a matter of fact, we will have our registration information sessions. They'll be scheduled for early June, and that's going to give us an opportunity, or give our future Ravens an opportunity to learn more about what registration is all about at Carleton, what it actually looks like, how to utilize the timetable tool, what is a time ticket, which you'll hear about as well. And so definitely something to look forward to, and go onto our website, admissions.carleton.ca. We'll have some more information about our registration sessions in the coming weeks. And I should also mention that when students accept their offer of admission, it's not just a celebration that happens. And again, thank you, Jen, for answering that question. It's not just a celebration that happens. There's still work to be done, and we will send all students who've accepted an offer of admission a registration email. So an email that will, again, tell students more about what registration looks like, what are some of the key dates and deadlines that are coming up, what are some of the tools that are available, the resources that are available to help you out. I gotta confess, I'm a bit on the older side of the coin, and for me, like when I was a student applying and finally getting into to Carleton, registration included me, a booklet, and a cell phone. Nowadays, of course, everything is virtual and it's online, and so there are a lot of really great virtual tools that are going to be available for your future Raven to utilize to help facilitate that registration process. But again, understanding that these are really new steps, and so we want to make sure that we could help you walk that path. And so definitely look out for those registration sessions. Again, we'll be coming up in the early part of the month of June. What a really awesome event. Thank you everyone for the awesome questions, and we're going to continue to answer your questions in the Q&A, and we're not going to leave until all the questions are answered. So please don't leave until your question gets answered by someone from our team here. And this parent evening is part of our See You at Home month-long series of awesome virtual events. And there have been some really cool events. Some are a bit more on the information side of things. And again, you're going to see that residence information session posted on our website in the next couple of days. Some have been really creative. Last night we had a conversation with someone from our English department about journaling and what that skill can be, how that skill can be utilized by students throughout their degree. And so please visit our website, admissions.carleton.ca. You'll see a link for our See You at Home, so you can see all the different events that are happening across the month, including, and this is going to be a shameless plug, a how to start your own podcast hosted by myself and my colleague Briar, because one of the things we were able to do this year is launch a podcast, which is called the Talking Raven podcast. So when you're going for your run or for a walk or for a bike ride or just hanging out at home, how about you fire up your Spotify account or your Apple Podcast account and give it a listen. There have been some really great conversations that we've had over the last few months, including a conversation with our president, Dr. Benoit Antoine Bacon, that was featured in our latest episode. And it was a great conversation to kind of look back at the year that was, and then to look ahead how Carleton's going to position itself in a post-pandemic world. And so I definitely encourage you to check that out. And then finally, give us a follow on Instagram and on Twitter, as well as Facebook. Really a lot of awesome content that's happening on Instagram, including our capture the CU flag, where we're seeing a lot of our proud Ravens displaying their Raven spirit online. So we're really excited to be able to connect with students on that platform. Thank you all so much again for attending tonight's event. I hope you found it helpful, useful. If you missed any part of tonight's event, you will be able to catch it on the replay, and because we will be posting a recording of this event on our website in the coming weeks as well. So definitely look out for that. Once again, my name is Stanley Philippe. Again, thank you for joining us. I hope you have a safe and lovely weekend, and we hope to see you at Carleton very soon. Take care.